So I mentioned we're in our testing phase at the moment, and then we move next into the user acceptance phase where the business comes to the table and drives and signs off on the solution. Very soon after that, we move into a very comprehensive training process. We have a very structured program to ensure that the business, through a super user model that we're implementing, they'll be the key users at each of the local sites that will support the end users of the system. So training's very big coming up next. We also have a regression testing cycle, which is really where we're introducing a whole lot of new and enhanced functionality as part of the global template into our existing SAP system we're running the business on today. We need to make sure that introducing the new capabilities does not break anything we're already running today. So we have another testing cycle there. And then we have our cutovers and go-lives coming up in the July and August timeframe. And that's, again, a lot of work for the GT team, but also there's a lot of business people involved in that process.
Well, one of the most daunting aspects of these transformational changes is making sure that everyone comes to the table together, that the business feels like they understand what's happening, that they are excited about what's happening, that they're ready to adopt whatever's coming their way. This time, and for this set of go-lives over the next 6 months, we've taken a very focused approach to getting business leaders identified by function, bringing them into the mix as early as possible. That means even reviewing design documents where it's appropriate, and making sure that they have a voice back into their own business leaders so that they can express concerns, small wins, or things of that nature. These business leads, I think, are one of the secrets to our recent successes and hopefully anticipated future successes. Well, because the North America Go Live really targets our primary 2 sites, Oswego and Kingston, we have deployment leads that are set up for each one. So bear in mind you have someone like David Gerard, who is essentially responsible for thinking through the impacts to maybe 1,000 users at the site. In that capacity, he needs a broad understanding of what's coming, but also the ability to delegate to individuals that are subject matter experts that feed into his local site approach to learning.
Most recently, on February 28th, we went live with a new and enhanced solution for our external processing operations business, or a lot of people know it as our tolling business. It was a significant change to enable or to help enable the business and support the contracts and capabilities we have with our automotive partners, and particularly for Ford.
In reality, from an automotive perspective, our real competitors today are steel companies. These companies have had an opportunity to build these supply chains, providing material into the automotive business for the last 30 years. It's not that we don't provide inventory in or material in, but we do it today at a much slower or smaller rate. Now that we're moving from being a tier 2 provider to being a tier 1 provider, there's a whole new set of requirements that come into play. And what we're doing is we're positioning Novelis so that Novelis can meet those requirements and meet the velocity of material flowing through our network.
One of the next big achievements, the next big steps we'll be undertaking is integrating our SAP Global Template solution with a new MES plant floor solution, MES manufacturing execution systems on the plant floor. And that's the phase we're currently in.
The information that we're capturing from the customer and understanding exactly what the customer needs is now going to cascade through our enterprise systems into our manufacturing systems and onto the plant floor. And that's the capability we're trying to deliver moving forward.
I find that we are only as good as our factories are smart at using, making, moving the metal around.
That's correct.
I think with this new manufacturing execution system, we essentially get an upgrade to the intelligence quotient of how we go and do our metal moves. So even though it's a thin layer that maybe doesn't show up necessarily in every report and in every system, behind the scenes it's helping us to track and know what we're doing so that we have confidence that we're doing it the right way and making the right product at the right time. I think our customers require that from us. There are at least 3 different ways in which what we're approaching now is radically different than what we've done in the past. The first one is it's very much process oriented. And when I say process, I don't mean it in a buzzword sense. Really, we have actually a catalog of now more than 200 processes, pen and paper, of sort of the right way to do things per a global template. All of the software and technology in the world won't help us if our people don't know the right order in which to accomplish tasks or do their daily job. So it's not perfect by any means, but that's really the foundation upon which we're building for the first time. Process first, then technology can follow the process. That's number one. Number two, as I mentioned a moment ago, we're really leveraging individuals and leaders from within the business, folks that want to rise to the challenge, want to be a representative of what their function is going to see as an impact. And then third, we're allowing the use of specific tools and techniques like business impact assessments and scorecards, where the business itself is able to measure the impact down to the user level. So we're actually able to estimate 50 people from this type of function in these roles at these sites will be impacted in the following ways. That level of detail is really the critical piece that's been missing until now.
One of the key things we have done differently at this point in time with regards to Global Template is we took a step back and we thought about this from a business process perspective. How does this need to tie together? And I'll use a couple of examples from a supply chain planning perspective. In the context of supply chain planning, we now have an integrated process for sales and operations planning, how we think about short-term demand, the process of figuring out how do we manage the material moves throughout a manufacturing network, let's say it could be North America or Europe, and then how does that cascade into the plants themselves. And we've thought about it end to end, which is a little different than where we had been previously. We have some really good processes that are currently anchored to what happens in a plant, but we're now thinking about this much more broadly. Why is that important? We need the ability to be able to use our plants as a virtual manufacturing network in each region. One of the things we're doing is we're changing the approach for designing reports moving forward. Use an example of inventory reporting and it's something that we've designed a new approach for inventory reporting and released it in the last 30 days, and we're going to update that fairly significantly with Global Template. Today, even though SAP is where we do transactions, it's not the system that we're using to manage our business. And that's one of the big changes that we're going to be putting in place. That requires a couple of things to occur. Number one is that we need to make sure that we're executing the transactions as expected and that we're managing the data as expected. And that may mean process change in plants.
Item we'll be delivering in July with the Global Template is an executive management dashboard where the senior leaders of our company will have visibility to a number of our key performance indicators from a business perspective. And that's something new that we haven't had with SAP or with our solution to date. So that's something that I know the leadership team's excited about. It will give real visibility to help for the system to help drive the business and track and manage how we're doing against those key performance indicators.
We've had several early wins with this new approach. One of them I'd point to is one that David Gerard, again, as our site deployment lead, really helped to champion. In the early days of the project, we conducted a business impact assessment on site at Oswego, where we looked at the changes coming from the new MES solution that Michael mentioned. One of them, we found that we're essentially going to turn off a key part of material allocation that's used there on the floor. It wasn't really an intended consequence, but it will go dark as soon as the new solution comes live. That was unknown, but found through to this discovery process, at which point the project team was able to come alongside and find an alternative solution. One example of the early win that we've seen globally for change management and business readiness is now that we're getting closer to user impact and to final go lives, we've identified HR representatives to join the teams, one for North America and one for Europe. They're now sitting within that team structure, and they're able to help us, let's say, facilitate that final user communication and impact. As you can imagine, some of these impacts are positive. Some require sort of a special assessment on how to bridge the gap and ensure that people are truly ready in their jobs to be effective.
If I may, that's a key point, Chris. I absolutely agree that one of the differences from where we are today, from where we were very early in the project, it was driven more as a technology change program for the business when it first started. And today, for a program like this to be successful, the SAP piece is just one component. The real success of this solution is all about people, processes, technology, and data. So that's, again, one of the changes to where we are today is we've now blended and implemented solutions for all of those 4 areas into the total global template package. In May, we go live with our new manufacturing execution system in both Kingston and Sierre. And then in June, we go live with the same MES solution in Oswego. Then in July, Global Template hits the scene and we deploy both Kingston and Oswego first, and then Sierre on the 1st of August will also come on board with the Global Template. And then straight after that, the Global Template train keeps rolling, and we have Nachterstedt, Germany, and Chongzhou, China as the next 2 sites slated for GT deployment and integration. Our key focus at the moment is automotive enablement and recycling. So Nachterstedt and Chongzhou, 2 more of our automotive sites, are coming up next.